Today in our lineup here on The Now, you're going to see new safety features when you take an Uber, but we're going to talk about why some worry they don't go far enough. And spacesuits getting an upgrade, a behind-the-scenes look at the new one in the works for a mission to the moon. Plus, holidays will be here before you know it, so now is the time to start saving. We're taking a look at it as an easy option that you may not have thought about to make a little extra cash.
Thank you, Chris. I'm Amanda Starantino, and this is The Now Indy on RTV6. An Indianapolis family is looking for answers tonight after their dog was seriously injured with what they believe was some type of weapon. Valerie Doe tells us her dog Bella escaped from their yard a few days ago and came home with a large gash across her face. Our cameras were there as she took the dog to a Southside Animal Hospital this morning. Doe says Bella will need at least one surgery to repair her nasal cavity. The family says Bella has never shown any signs of aggression, and they are not sure why anyone would hurt her.
We were terrified. It was horrific to see her in so much pain and discomfort. We want to bring awareness to the community that there's somebody out there that is capable of injuring an innocent animals for no purpose.
Doe says they plan to file a police report. She also started an online fundraiser to help pay for Bella's medical bills. The staff at Noah's Animal Hospital declined to comment on the case as they continue to investigate Bella's injuries and try to figure out what exactly happened to her. Kevin.
We'll look west of White River. That's the walking bridge there. Takes you over White River and to White River Gardens, the Indianapolis Zoo. In the upper right, you can see the Dolphin Pavilion and some sunshine reflecting off the river as well. Closest thunderstorms way a couple states away, almost 3 states away. Get up into Minnesota, western portions of Iowa, and eastern portions of Kansas and Nebraska. This is being generated along a cold front, which will start to impact our weather as we get later in the day tomorrow, more likely Thursday. Temperature 93 in Muncie, 89 in Greenwood, 91 in Bloomington. These are some all-time warm temperatures for the month of October. By the time we get to late evening, we only cool off a little. Notice we're just talking numbers here. There's really not much else to talk about in the short term until we get the cold front here tomorrow. The chance of any thunderstorms during the daylight hours tomorrow, very low, less than 20%. We should tie a record of 89. We'll talk about the 4-day forecast when we come back.
Secretary of State Mike Pompeo taking to Twitter today, blasting a request from Democrats. Members of the House Foreign Affairs Committee are requesting depositions with 5 State Department officials, both current and former. Secretary Pompeo says those depositions aren't realistic, and he says that the Dems are trying to bully employees. The Dems say that Pompeo's response could constitute witness intimidation. Pompeo has until Friday to produce documents the committee asked for in connection to the president's actions with Ukraine. A scathing report from the Justice Department's Inspector General about the DEA. The report says the agency was, quote, slow to respond to the opioid epidemic. The Inspector General found as the epidemic grew, the DEA cut back on important resources needed to handle the issue. It also found the DEA upped the amount of oxycodone allowed to be made by 400% from 2002 to 2013. Now, there is growing concern as more drugstores are pulling over-the-counter heartburn medications like Zantac. Now, the FDA is looking into the amount of a potentially cancer-causing ingredient in the drugs. Zantac is just one of the meds discovered to have NDMA in it. Now, we talked to a doctor who said this is a serious situation, but likely a precautionary move.
It's a real issue. Now, the question is, and the research isn't really definitive on how much exposure in the short term or in the long term actually leads to malignancy. We simply just know right now that NDMA is associated with cancer, but the quantification is not clear.
NDMA also got heart and blood pressure meds pulled from shelves. Now, if you deal with heartburn, doctors say Tums, Maalox, or even just a glass of milk can help. And make sure you call your doctor if you are having issues like, say, if heartburn wakes you up at night. But there are some changes that you can make.
The medicines for heartburn control your symptoms, but the truest way to get rid of heartburn is lifestyle change. The #1 cause of heartburn in the United States is obesity.
Now, other things you can do to help avoid heartburn: don't eat heavy meals right before you go to bed. Also, sleeping with your head and shoulder raised helps, and recognize which foods are causing issues and stay away. Now, net neutrality is dead, at least at the federal level. A federal court ruling today that it is okay. The FCC dropped the rules that force internet providers to treat each website equally. The court left the door open, though, for states to pass their own laws. Ahead in our lineup here on The Now, a new warning about how you can be taken advantage of after a car crash. We're going to be talking about 3 things you should know at the scene.
Only at Bob's Discount Furniture.
We have an update to breaking news we first brought you during the news at 5. A semi-rollover is still affecting traffic in the northbound lanes of Interstate 65 at the North Split. You can see the semi on its side in this live picture from our INDOT camera. INDOT says this will be an issue for at least 2 more hours. Again, avoid northbound I-65 at the North Split if you can.
Car crashes are dangerous and expensive, but certainly time-consuming as well. And the last thing you need is to be taken advantage of by a tow truck driver. So let's get to Annie Taylor here with the new warning.
The National Insurance Crime Bureau has new videos warning drivers about a type of accident fraud.
Vehicle accidents are stressful enough. You don't need someone showing up at the scene trying to pressure you into letting them tow away your vehicle.
That PSA has a warning about tow truck drivers that show up at the scene unsolicited, and they can overcharge you hundreds, even thousands of dollars for towing and storage.
You sign, in the emotion of the moment, and people are generally not thinking that clearly after an accident, and they sign a document with nothing on it, none of the lines filled. So when they go to get that car later on, they see fees for this or that.
Well, the National Insurance Crime Bureau says those drivers are typically looking to collect those high fees from insurance companies, which in turn gets passed on to everyone in the form of higher insurance premiums. But if there is no insurance, the vehicle can become the property of the tow yard if the owner can't pay. So to make sure that you get a legitimate tow, you could wait for the police to call a truck or call your insurance company or roadside assistance and take your time to make sure the fees, address, and business information is all spelled out on the tow agreement. Other types of accident fraud to avoid are staged car wrecks, and they can happen when someone intentionally causes a crash. They could also be followed up with people suddenly showing up at the scene, directing you to certain doctors or attorneys.
All right, Annie, thank you. Let's get back to our lineup here at The Now. And after kidnappings, reports of sexual assaults, even murders, there are concerns about just how safe ride-sharing is.
There is nowhere that is less safe than in a moving car with a stranger. Everybody's captive in that situation, and that includes the driver and the passenger alike.
Uber just added new safety features, and ahead on The Now, we're taking a look at how they work and if they go far enough.
And Keller, right now.
Let's start the Now newsfeed. Experts disagreeing today over the results of a new study on red meat. Studies in the Annals of Internal Medicine say there are little to no effects from eating meat on illnesses like heart disease. Now, doctors argue the study's wrong because of long-established evidence that eating a lot of red meat is bad for your health. Jimmy Carter celebrating another birthday. The former president, now 95 years old, he is the first president to ever reach that milestone. We just have some wild video for you today from Chicago's O'Hare Airport. This is a meal cart that lost control and just really went wild, almost hitting a plane. But a quick-thinking employee does come through with another vehicle, knocking it away. After a year of testing, Uber has new security features. Now, this comes after accusations about mishandling sexual misconduct claims and crimes committed by people posing as Uber drivers. Usher Qureshi checking out the enhancements.
Economical and convenient. Rideshare apps like Lyft and Uber have become synonymous with urban travel, but some say at the cost of safety.
There is nowhere that is less safe than in a moving car with a stranger. Everybody's captive in that situation, and that includes the driver and the passenger alike.
Bryant Greening is an attorney whose firm exclusively handles rideshare accidents and injuries. He says Lyft and Uber have allowed safety to sit on the back burner for far too long.
We hear about assault, battery, and harassment every single day. Granted, people are not getting murdered every day in Uber and Lyft cars, but that doesn't mean that it's not a problem.
In April, college student Samantha Josephson was murdered after she mistakenly got into a car with a man she thought was her Uber driver. In Chicago, prosecutors say a man posing as an Uber driver preyed on young victims. He was charged with sexually assaulting at least 5 women.
If rideshare isn't safe, it isn't viable. So it's time that Uber and Lyft are taking a proactive stance in making sure that drivers and riders are safe.
The slew of kidnapping, sexual assault, and even murders has intensified scrutiny of rideshare safety. Last week, Uber rolled out enhanced safety features to all riders and drivers nationwide. RideCheck can detect crashes or unexpected stops. An emergency button links riders directly to 911. And new features focus on verifying riders get into the correct car. Using ultrasound waves, riders receive a 4-digit PIN to verify their drivers. An alert will chime or vibrate, indicating it's the right driver.
We like that Uber is being proactive at this stage to ensure passenger and driver safety, but do we wish that this was done a few years ago? Absolutely.
Reportedly, Uber may also be beta testing a feature that would allow riders to record audio of a driver and report it to the company if they're feeling unsafe.
Experts say it's always important to remain vigilant and take extra precautions. That includes sharing your trip details with someone you trust and always mapping your route on your own. Reporting from Chicago, I'm Usher Qureshi.
Well, the question many people face at the checkout line, should I use credit or debit? These days, many people pay with debit to avoid interest charges and late fees. But working for you, John Mattery shows us why that's not always a good idea, so you don't waste your money.
Debit cards are so convenient. There's no monthly bill to worry about and no interest charges. But despite that convenience, there are some places you should never use debit. Debit can be dangerous. According to a report in Business Insider, the problem, the money immediately comes out of your bank account. So it says don't use debit at gas stations because of skimming scams and because stations often put a $75 temporary hold on your card. At hotels, because the desk may pre-authorize and hold $400 at check-in. On a rental car, where again the rental firm may hold hundreds of dollars until you return the car. At restaurants, where the server takes your card to a back room, and on big TVs and furniture where debit gives you no leverage if it's defective. And from the dozen that stink file, the worst place to use debit, online shopping at unfamiliar websites. Item never arrives, you'll say, doesn't that stink? Business Insider says credit cards give you a 1-month loan so you can dispute a questionable charge. Bottom line, with credit cards, you can simply dispute fraud and you don't have to pay. With debit, you have to wait to get those funds back, and it may be a case of don't waste your money. I'm John Mattery for RTV6.
Good to know. Thanks, John. A dubious distinction for 3 Indiana cities. Business Insider says they are among the most miserable cities in the entire country. The publication ranks Gary, Indiana, as the #1 most miserable city in the United States. Business Insider says Gary is losing population. Less of half the population is employed, and 36% of people live in poverty. Number 23 on the list is Hammond, Indiana. Again, Business Insider says there is declining population, high unemployment rate, and a high poverty rate. And Anderson is ranked as the 35th most miserable city in the country based on the same findings as the other 2 Indiana cities.
547 temperatures. They're right at 90 degrees. That is a look at the library. If you have an overdue book, you have a chance right there to deliver it right now. Temperatures, they're at 90. As we mentioned, the wind out of the southwest at 15. The humidity is noticeable, but it's not atrocious. That's helped out a little bit, so the heat index is not as high as it could be earlier in the summer. That might have pushed our heat index values well into the upper 90s. Record temperature tomorrow. I should put a question mark there. I think we'll tie the record if the clouds develop in the early to mid-afternoon. That may keep us from tying the 80 or going above 89 degrees, which is the record. Chance of thunderstorms Wednesday night and Thursday. Don't get your hopes up too high. Chance is not that good that we'll see any widespread rain. We'll definitely feel cooler temperatures as we get to Friday. That's the coolest day in the forecast, at least for this week. Temperature by 11 o'clock, the skies will clear. Same pattern we've been in. Once the sun sets, which is before 7:30 now, then clouds will dissolve, skies will clear. The wind out of the southwest will keep keep our temperatures at or above 70 overnight. Tomorrow morning, 7 a.m., as we go through the day, an isolated shower or thunderstorm possible, mainly from Interstate 70 to the north. The chance less than 20%. Temperatures tomorrow at noon, 83. Afternoon high temperature 89. That would tie the record for the date. And then we'll start to see, as we get to Thursday, cooler temperatures coming in. But tomorrow, one more day. It could be the third day in a row where temperatures reach a record level. Thursday temperature still at 70 first thing in the morning. An isolated shower or thunderstorm. The change will come with the wind direction out of the northwest. That keeps our temperature down to around 80 degrees. 4-day forecast shows temperatures as we go into Friday and the weekend really cooling off. Saturday morning, 47 will be the temperature, and Saturday's high, just 71.
Today we're getting our first look at NASA's new spacesuits. Now they're being tested right now for an upcoming mission to the moon, and Corey Rangel getting a look behind the scenes at the high-dollar designs.
We'd like to dedicate the first steps of Apollo 17 to all those who made it possible.
It has been almost 47 years since the United States last sent astronauts to the moon. Now the U.S. is in a race to get back to the moon by 2024 and eventually Mars. But one of the biggest challenges has been designing a new spacesuit.
This is your own personal spacecraft. When you're out on the lunar surface as an astronaut, this is the one thing that's keeping you alive. You've got to certify the entire system and work out all the bugs. So there's still a lot of work left to do in terms of certification of the system.
Lindsay Aitchison helped design the new spacesuit prototypes, which are surprisingly heavy.
So about 300 pounds, which is
300 pounds?
which is about double the weight of the Apollo suits. But again, it's because we're adding so much more capability.
Those upgrades include a new advanced portable life support system. The suits are also easier to walk in, and astronauts can change out parts like the pants, boots, or jacket.
So we can really customize the fit, so you don't just have to have a size large shirt. You can have a size large torso with size extra small elbows if you need that, and your own custom gloves.
Earlier this year, NASA caught some heat after it canceled the first all-female spacewalk because the available spacesuits were too big.
Close your hats, verify lock.
NASA has also been criticized for the cost. In 2017, a government report said, despite spending nearly $200 million on NASA's next-generation spacesuit technologies, the agency remains years away from having a flight-ready spacesuit.
We are looking at brand new technologies. We're doing things that we haven't done in over 35 years. And so just building up an entire new spacesuit system, it takes that.
Eventually, the suit will be tested on the International Space Station before heading to the moon and Mars. In Washington, D.C., I'm Corey Rangel reporting.
All right, Corey, thank you. Let's start the Now News feed. The U.S. and North Korea will start nuclear talks again. The State Department says they'll happen this weekend. Negotiations have been stalled for months on this. North Korea recently launched several missile tests. Scary situation in Taiwan. A bridge collapse, sending an oil tanker onto boats below. At least a dozen people were hurt. Also, some scary video here. This involves a truck in Utah. Look at this dash cam video capturing the moment this truck just slams into a police cruiser and hit another vehicle on the side of the road. There were no major injuries, but certainly a good reminder to slow down in the rain. Well, it's no secret that video games are growing in popularity, and that's why some high schools, even colleges, have started esports teams. Students can even get scholarships for just being good at video games. Well, now colleges going a step further, offering degrees in esports. Ohio State, Shenandoah University in Virginia, and Becker College in Massachusetts are doing this. Schools in the UK, they've already jumped on board.
If we've done our placement year, if we've done our masters, we're going to be right slap bang in the centre of it possibly being at its peak. So I think I have zero regrets.
Right now, it's estimated the esports industry brings in more than $1 billion a year. That is according to analytics firm Newzoo.
Kind of like, why are you watching esports? And I think my dad took me to my first event. And then it really kind of brought him into my world, and then from there sort of the rest of the family started to want to know like why I'm spending so much time playing.
Now, the courses aren't cheap. The most expensive one here in the U.S. runs $36,000 a year. In the U.K., it's about $11,000. All right, next in our lineup, it is time to start saving for the holidays. If you can believe it, we do have some easy options you may not have thought about to make a little extra cash.